Hi YouTube, Justin Deering here, reviewing my Stanley 12-in-1 multi-tool. That's right. Uh, this Leatherman clone I bought from Amazon for $8 and change. I believe there is a Stanley special going on. I will put a link in the description if you want to get one. Now, despite being a handy guy and an Eagle Scout, outdoor enthusiast, engineering school dropout, um, and an apartment dweller for several years, I never owned a Leatherman or Gerber or Leatherman clone. Uh, and recently I got the inkling, maybe I was missing out. Maybe I should try one. And I browsed through the Amazon, the Stanley special. And I said, okay, let me get this. This is definitely made in China. Uh, so it says stainless, and that over there says 2CR, which the internet tells me is similar to 200 grade stainless steel. Yeah, I don't get the feeling this is especially durable. Apparently, this is a common type of steel to use for these super low end Leatherman clones, and it feels really smooth. And so for something this cheap that was machined this smooth, I expect it not to be the greatest steel, but I mean it's been okay so far. I do feel like if I squeeze this really hard, I could probably break it. I'm not going to try that. I'm going to try several things. I'm going to demo several things. So first of all, 12-in-1. Let's go that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 blades, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 actual. So 8 blades plus the pliers. How do we get to 12? Through inflation that everyone else does. So 9. So you have long nose pliers. You have these round biting pliers. So that's 10. 11 is the cutters on there, which I will demonstrate. And on the file, so in this part, you've got a two-sided file with a screwdriver tip. So I could probably get to 13, depending on how. I mean, I would have gotten to 13 because I've got a diamond file. I've got a fine file and a bastard file over here, cross file, and this could be a big screwdriver tip. So anyway, onto the tool. So yeah, we got the file. Been okay for the greatest deal it is. I haven't tried to like sharpen an axe or anything with it. I've sharpened a nail. I've not removed. I mean, I've sanded my nails, and it did some damage. This screwdriver, not a big fan of. Okay, now I'm sure these rivets will come loose at some point. Right now they're relatively tight. I wish they were just the simpler rivet style where it was just the tube of metal that was peeled over. So if it loosened, I could just bang on it with a hammer and an anvil, or actually the anvil part of my vise to tighten it up. I don't know if I could tighten these up. I don't like this size of screwdriver. It is too small for, like, for example, this is the rice cooker I took apart. I was going to make a video about. It's too small to catch that, and if I push really hard, over here, if I push really hard, this will bend in. Not a big fan of that one. Okay, moving on to the other thing. Go adjust up here. There we go. Tiny flathead screwdriver. I've not used this to drive any screws. I expect to have better luck with this. What I have been using this for, I found while taking apart this is a swishy Japanese rice cooker, is prying off the plastic to get this top off. I took that apart before. Yeah, so yeah, that's another thing I want to bring up with multi-tools. Okay, obviously, even if you had a Leatherman or really nice $100 Leatherman or Gerber or SOG knife or whatever, I probably have better tools for every task in this knife. Okay, these pliers, nowhere near as good as these 9-inch Klein side cutters, or whatever. The blade, which I'll get into later, probably not as, this cheapo 440 stainless steel uh, knife that came with my Irving set of vice grips. Um, this Husky, the knife, this blade over here. Better blades, right? Uh, Screwdriver, much, and, any cheap made in China. This is made in Japan. This is pretty old, back when made in Japan was about as good as made in China. Um, you know, these are all better tools than the multi-tool. The advantage of the multi-tool, like they say, the best camera to take any picture is the one you have on you now, which is why photographers spend a lot of time how to get good pictures out of your iPhone or whatever, because it's always on you. This is like the physical world iPhone. This thing, you always have it on you. So the question is can we get utility out of this? So going back to that, this is a really great. I found this a good like pry bar. Is it as gentle as like a little plastic pry bar? No, but it was gentle enough for this. I didn't damage the plastic when I was separating this. I do have a nice you know small plastic pry tool for laptops and phones. I have a nice set of big ones for taking apart car doors or whatever. But those are outside in my toolbox or in the basement. Pain to get to. This was on me. I didn't have to go, okay, get another tool. And I think that's the utility I found by owning multi-tool, keeping it on me at all times, is that, yeah, it's always handy, always at the ready. It saves me another trip to the basement. So that's what we found here. Okay, so the file's really nice. Blade. Blade's okay. Here's the problem with these. This is a clone of like an early generation Leatherman. Not, oh, yeah. That's somewhat annoying. Sometimes you open this up and you close this, and you got to reopen that to get this closed. Anyway, that's annoying, right? But I found, if I need to get in at it, this configuration is fine. Is this the best knife in the world? No, not the best knife in the world. But it will. Got a box over here. There we go. Anyway, yeah, it'll cut a box. I do want to improve my sharpening skills and see just how sharp I can get this. It comes pretty sharp. Yeah, it's definitely, got a more of a barbed edge like any other machine factory sharpened knife. Yeah, if I wasn't in an arco position, I could cut that box real easily. Is it, perhaps even, this is probably better still. This is, I believe, 440 stainless steel. I don't know if 440, how good 440 is. This, obviously a fresh blade. This is a Husky knife, which is Home Depot's cheap end, and either I've got like, the 100 DeWalt blade. This is a pretty old one, but I could put a fresh one in. These will cut boxes better, but for about a little more space, I got this and all that. I've got a bunch more tools than a single pocket knife, like that. Good enough. Not these are much more comfortable to use. These stay in my garage. This I carry. I live in New Jersey, commute to New York City daily. I could get some flack from a police officer if I'm stopped. This is probably going to give me less slack. Okay. Anyway, on to the other tools. So yeah, we've got, so like I said, I like the flathead, do not like the Phillips head. Saw. It's a thick saw. I've not used it, yet. Good to know I have it. I'm sure it's just about as good as any other cheap pocket knife saw. Slightly bigger blade. Now I find that, so I've got 3 size flathead screwdrivers on here, 1 Phillips head. I thought that was a mistake. I thought, yeah, they could have given me 2 the slightly larger Phillips head. If anything, if this, normally you use the Phillips head you have, that Phillips head was just too small for, I think that's like a P2. That was like a P1, and these are most of the screws are P2s. Yeah, it was too small for the screws I've needed to use with it, so I thought they made the wrong decision there. Someone might not otherwise. This is called the second blade. It's a really blunt angle. This is an all. It's a hole punch. You know,